From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Becoming Thin Podcast. And I am your host, Chris Terrell. And welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through? And what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now. Don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, up again. Before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired and fat and made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all those things that created the results of my life. And if I wanted to get permanent results, I was going to have to go change those things at the core level. When I say the core level, I'm talking like how you live your regular old everyday life. You know, I know a lot of people listening right now, life's in a good spot, holidays have died down, work's not too nutso, family life's not too nutso, and it's like, it's a good time to lose weight, And so you're like, yeah, let's go create all these temporary changes in our life, right? Let's go do all these things. I mean, you don't say they're temporary, you say you're going to keep doing them. But we both know here in about 3-4 months, life's going to get busy again, as it does every year. And you know what's going to happen? This whole plan that you made is going to fall apart. You're going to do something. You're going to quit. You're going to quit. I don't want you to quit, but that's where you quit. And I mean, there's a reason people quit. We're going to talk about weight loss, but it's not just weight loss. It's really, though, anything that asks you to change who you are. And in today's podcast, I want to talk about quitting. I just did a workshop a few weeks ago. Many of you listening came to that, but many of you weren't able to come. And so what I did is I grabbed a bunch of the notes from day 2, actually, and I wrote up some things I thought I would come talk to you about today in today's podcast from day 2. Some points that I thought were really, really important to talk about. So this is just a snippet, y'all. You can actually watch the whole workshop on my YouTube channel if you'd like. It's there under the live stream section. I got days 1, 2, and 3 all right there ready to go. If you want to go watch them, you can. But so the material today, if you find any of this useful, you can go there and get the full 2-hour presentation where we really explain this stuff in a lot more detail. But as I said, we're going to talk about quitting, why people quit, and what quitting really is. And we'll talk about some ways you can maybe stop. So here's the truth, though, we need to uncover. We need to reveal first. Many people say they failed, and they look at their past as, I failed at weight loss. No, most people don't fail. I know that's what... I know that's what you wished it was. It's like, yeah, I failed. It didn't work. I failed. But what actually happens is a person loses a bunch of weight, not all the weight, but maybe a lot, but not all of it. And then they stop losing weight, then they gain it all back. It's not a failure. That's they quit. The person quit. And I know some of you might be like, wait, are you saying I'm a quitter, Chris? No, I'm not saying you're a quitter. And well, I mean, maybe you're a quitter, but it's not a problem because like people don't quit because they're weak. I mean, I've quit so many things in my life. So many things in my life I've quit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with quitting something when it makes sense to quit. You know, but many people are quitting when it doesn't make sense to quit. Like they're quitting before the end. And it's because they don't understand what's going on inside their mind. I've had to learn about this. You know, as I've learned about the stuff we're going to talk about today, it's made it easier for me to stop quitting. So let's begin with the mind, though, right here. We need to explain a concept. So your brain has 2 modes that it operates out of. One is your conscious thinking mind. That's the part that's planning, analyzing, making all sorts of decisions. Do I do this? Do I not do that? Yes, no. Then you have the other side of your mind, the unconscious mind. This is the automatic pilot. You know, this autopilot is operated off of your habits, your instincts, your default behaviors, your baseline conditioning, your belief systems. You know, much of your life is accomplished by you operating out of the automatic pilot. Let's think about driving to work. Many of you drive to work a car and you have a commute and you drive the same route probably every day and you barely think about it, don't you? And yet you're hardly thinking about this work, but you're still obeying all the traffic laws. You still get there safely. Some of y'all are driving on like 8 lanes of highway and everybody's going 90 miles an hour. Like somebody, and like they got on an emergency room trip, right? Like, I gotta get to the ER, the person's gonna die. And like everybody's driving that way. And yet you do it and you're like nonchalantly changing from one podcast to the next, barely paying attention, putting your makeup on because you're so comfortable. That's your automatic pilot. You're there, you're paying attention, but the automatic pilot is handling a lot of it. Now, let's imagine a different scenario. You're driving in a new city, never driven there before, and you're in a rental car. And like every single turn requires your attention. Like, do I turn here? Do I keep going straight? All right, keep going. Wait, which lane am I going to need to be in? The map isn't telling me which lane to get in. All right, I got to pull up to the gas station. Which side is the gas on? How do I find that out? Right, little arrow. And like you're so stressed out. Just doing a short little drive. And why? It's exhausting, isn't it? Driving in a brand new city in a car you've never been in before. I mean, it's the same activity, you driving, same person, you. But why is one more exhausting than the other? It's because you're operating out of a different mode. Now consider this for a moment. Your eating life works the same way. Your autopilot is what is producing and maintaining your current body and the results you've been getting on a macro level. It's not your conscious intentions. It's not your wishes. It's not your motivation sources. It's your conditioning that is having a major role on the results that you're getting with your body. Because when you're stressed, when you're having a hard time, it's your conditioning that's going to tell you what to do because you're going to operate out of your automatic pilot more when you're stressed. Have you ever noticed that? But let's talk about how this begins for a person that snaps them out of their automatic pilot. One day, a person, maybe you've had a story like this. You wake up and you, for whatever reason, you've decided this day you're getting on the scale. And you get on the scale and you have a number that you hope you weigh. You're like, I hope it's not above this. I really hope it's not above this. And you get on it, the numbers are blink, 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 blinking, and then you see the number. And it is about 23 pounds heavier than what you thought it'd be. And now your conscious mind kicks in. Right? Now the CEO of your life is showing up and walking into the boardroom being like, duh, fuck everybody. What is unconscious? Everybody, you, what is happening? We need to do something about this. This is not okay. We were not supposed to be this big. We are this big. We got to do something about it. And so the automatic pilot's kicking in. It's like, all right, we need to go on a diet. We need to exercise. We need to meal prep. We need to get all the water. We got to get all the steps. We got to get the sleep. Oh, what about the macros? What are macros? We got to look that up. Carbs, fats, protein. Right, macros. We got to do all the tracking. What app do I use? We need to track everything. What are the rules? I need to know the rules. I got to know the rules so I know that I'm doing it the right way, so that if I do it the right way, it's going to give me the results that I want. And suddenly every little decision requires all this conscious effort, doesn't it? What do I eat? How much do I eat? When do I weigh the meat? Do I weigh it before I cook it or do I weigh it after I cook it? Do I do this? Can I have diet soda or is diet soda bad for me? Do I walk now or do I walk later? Does it matter if I walk in the evening? Does walking count as exercise? Did I track that food? Wait a minute. I didn't weigh it. Should I have weighed that food? Like all these little decisions. And by day 5 of this, your brain is like, stop, stop, stop. It's too much. It's too much. And now the unconscious mind shows up, right? The unconscious, that old way. It's like, come back. This is like super uncomfortable. This is not how we do things. You said no to a donut today. We do not say donuts. No to our favorite donuts. We don't do that. That's not who we are. We don't do this. I mean, you don't feel very good. And you know you are not the kind of person that goes to the gym when you're not feeling very good. You know, you've had a long day. Your boss yelled at you. You need to just go home and just relax. Yeah, you deserve this. You've been so good on your diet the last 5 days. You deserve this. Yeah, you just go home and sit down and we'll get back to it tomorrow. You know, that whisper right there, that's what I call the call to quit. The call to quit. And now it doesn't say that way. The voice wasn't like, let's quit and give up forever. And this is stupid. No, the voice knows that you'll be like, no, I'm not doing that. So it tempts you. Oh, that's going to taste so good. You've had a long, difficult day. We'll get back to it tomorrow. One won't hurt. It's really not a problem. You should even have a cheat day. A cheat day's fine. You know, The Rock takes cheat days. And so when this call to quit shows up, most people answer it, right? And they're not like declaring, I'm quitting. They didn't declare they're quitting. They just stop thinking about it. And then they woke up the next day, they continued to not think about it. And then they went a few more days and continued to not think about it. And then one day, a few days later, you're at your restaurant with a friend or your spouse or a coworker, and rather than ordering what you get when you're on a diet, you just get what you normally get. And you don't even think about it. You don't notice it. Nobody's asking. You ain't bringing it up. And your autopilot has fully taken over again. And the voice, the old voice, won out. And so a person will have this happen and they'll be like, I failed. No, you didn't fail. Think about it. All you're doing is going back to who you were just not but few days ago, few months ago. You're returning to like this conditioning that's in your mind. I mean, think of this for a minute. When you're quitting a diet, you're quitting the diet to go back to being you. The diet was the act. The diet was the facade. It's not who you are. You didn't actually want to be a person that gives up carbs for the rest of your life. You never actually wanted to be that person. And so when you're living your life that way, this doesn't feel like who you are. And so the automatic conditioning is like, this isn't who we are. We always say yes to this. And your brain's getting into this very confused state, right? The diet isn't the real change you're going for. The real change you need to be going for is the reconditioning of your automatic pilot. Because if you don't change the unconscious mind and what is happening in there, you're going to continue to go back to who you are. Yes, you do need to learn the mechanics of weight loss. Yes, you are going to have to do a bunch of things that appear diety on the surface. And you are going to have to do temporary things like eat at a calorie deficit. But you also have to change your subconscious conditioning. That's why you got to do weight loss slow over a long period of time. Because the subconscious is like building muscles. It doesn't happen fast. Even when it's happening fast, it's happening slow. And this is why motivation isn't a really great tool for weight loss. Because motivation is what gets your conscious mind to keep engaged, right? It takes so much effort for your conscious mind to use. It needs a reason. It needs a reason to go through all this hassle, right? Your automatic pilot is what runs your life. Right? Just like when you're driving that car to work. It's your automatic pilot that's doing most of the work. Right? And you will pay attention only as much as you need to. So I think the logical question at this juncture then is, well, how do you recondition the autopilot? I mean, how do you recondition this? So in the workshop, I outlined 5 steps, and we'll go over them here today. And these steps are not magic. They're not a quick fix. They're not instant. It's not like a hack. They're simple, but simple doesn't mean easy, right? Don't ever confuse simple with easy. Sometimes a simple thing is actually kind of tricky and hard to do. Well, let's talk about the first one. The first step to reconditioning your automatic pilot is repetition of ideas. Repetition of ideas. And because the thing is, let's take an old belief that you have. You don't erase it. You override it with a new one. And the way you put a new belief on top of an old belief is by doing it the exact same way the old belief got there. The old belief got there by hearing an idea again and again and again and again and again and again and again from different angles, from different voices, from different emotional states. You will then just come up with a new idea that is different from the one in place, and then you will hear that idea again and again and again and again and again from different angles, from different voices, from different emotional states, which will allow you to fully metabolize the new idea, grafting it into your belief system, so to speak. And you'll know that happens because one day something clicks. It's like, aha, epiphany, I got it. And it's not because you heard it that time. Right? Yes, that time is when it clicked, but you actually heard it hundreds of times before in lots of different ways. And it was that time that made it click. You needed all the early listenings of it too. Now for me, and including with this podcast, this is why I repeat myself so much. It's also why community matters, where people are working to do something the same way, because now you get to hear people talk about the way that you want to think. Because you're going to be hearing people that are ahead of you. You're going to be hearing people as they're deconstructing a belief and installing a new one on top of it. And what's so helpful for reconditioning with these new ideas is you've got a find where there's a regular stream of these new ideas and place yourself in the path of these ideas so you're hearing them all over the place again and again and again and again and again. I'm not talking about inspirational quotes, people. I'm not talking about inspiration porn, right? Where it's like, oh, that was so nice to read that on TikTok. No, I'm talking something a bit more curated than that. And I'm not talking about brain candy. I'm talking about hearing the ideas in conversation settings, hearing the ideas in teaching settings, hearing the ideas in reading form, hearing the ideas by you writing them, right? Having it where you're hearing two other people talk about the ideas. It is this repetition of the idea delivered in lots of different mediums that helps your brain begin to adopt a new idea, which will begin to shift how your automatic pilot works, because your automatic pilot is referencing your beliefs. Let's talk about the second one. The second way to recondition your automatic pilot, and that is to activate your body. Now, when I say this, sometimes people, they forget this part. Your brain is a part of your body, okay? The brain is an organ within the body. It's everything inside of your skin is the body. Everything, all of it, including the skin. From the skin in, that is your body, we're going to say, right? And so movement, however, changes the state of your body. The mind can control the body, but the body can control the mind. And that's what's so neat about this. Like take like a reflex, right? That happens, right? You don't consciously choose that. That just happens. And yet your nervous system is a part of that. Movement, when you're moving your body, it changes what happens in your mind because it's a two-way street. And state, when you're in a different state and you're hearing ideas, you metabolize the idea differently. Getting it. And also, when you're some things can only be learned by doing it. You can only learn to walk by walking. You can only learn to play the piano by playing the piano. You can only learn what salt tastes like by tasting salt. You can't learn about what a song sounds like without actually hearing the song. It can be described to you all you want, but there's no substitute for hearing it, right? And so you've got to take these ideas and you got to go put them into practice. You have to experientially process the idea. Like the idea of eating when you're hungry. You're going to hear me talk about this. Well, the only way to really learn the other parts of it is you need to experience it in a wordless form by being hungry and waiting to eat for a minute and seeing what it feels like. Remember, some lessons can only be learned through experience. You don't learn hunger by reading about it. You learn hunger by sitting in hunger. You don't learn about impulse control by hearing about it. You learn about impulse control by smelling donuts and then walking away not getting one. You feel the urge within you arise and then you don't give in. And now you have learned what it feels like to exert control over your impulses. And that experience teaches the subconscious. The subconscious goes, oh, he or she did that. Okay. Oh, did it again. Oh, did it again. Oh, did it again. Oh, this person I think wants to keep doing this. Okay, I probably need to start paying attention and baking this into my subroutines that I pull up. That's why the experience is so important. Now, the third for reconditioning, you need to talk about these new ideas with supportive people, not accountability buddies. So many people think in accountability buddies, but you need to make weight loss happen. If that were the case, we would have solved weight loss by now. It's not accountability buddies. You need encouragement partners. You need people that are going to remind you who you have said you want to become, because they will remember and know you're not there yet. And they're going to encourage you to continue to become the person you want. They're not going to encourage you to become who you used to be. So when you're starting to adopt these new mindsets through repetition, through using state change, don't go talking about your new mindset with your old eating crowd, because these people are going to try to pull you back to the familiar. And it's not because they're bad. No, not at all. In fact, they're quite normal. This is a super normal thing that your friends are going to do. When you're having your new ideas, they're just barely being formed, you need to talk about them with supportive, encouraging people. people who understand the journey, people who will say, keep going when your old self is calling you to return back to it. Like, go eat the food, right? This is why alcoholics have to avoid hanging out with their drinking buddies when they're first becoming sober, right? That doesn't mean they can't hang around their drinking buddies. They just need to be very careful in the beginning because, they're not super resilient on their belief structures yet on the new thing. Now let's talk about the fourth one. Now this fourth one's you got to be careful with this fourth one. If you do it wrong, somebody, something bad could happen to somebody else. A house could catch fire. It's using a journal. You get one of them books with no words in it and you put the words in it. Wow, what? No. All right, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not. Some of y'all react as if that's the thing, but no, journaling. Written, audio, and video. All three of them. Journal via written form. It could be written with a pen, which is important to do that. Written by typing, also just fine. Written by audio, do audio recordings. And video, where you can see yourself. You're being fully captured with all your nonverbal communication as well. Watch it back sometimes. You see, though, when you externalize your thoughts, you hear yourself speak the new beliefs you're seeking to adopt. And when you document your process, you can watch the evolution of an idea and you can listen to yourself saying the belief in your own voice, which will reinforce the new belief even more. I'm not talking about rage journaling here. I'm not talking about, dear diary, today I did this and I saw a boy and I have a crush on him. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about reflection. Reflecting on what you did, what you're learning, what you're thinking, what beliefs you're wanting to adopt. What did I notice today? What did I learn today? Where did I catch my automatic pilot trying to take over today? What did I do differently? Where did I override my automatic pilot? Stop, talk about it, think about it. When you convert it to words, it reinforces the new conditioning even deeper. And now the fifth one. Intentional modification of your environment. What do I say at the beginning of every episode? The beginning of every episode. You're a byproduct of your lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and belief systems. Environment is the fifth one or fourth one. Environment, community, yeah, whatever. Environment, they're not in order. Environment. Environment plays a massive role in things because your automatic pilot is looking in the real world. It's looking for visual cues. Like, let's go back to the driving, right? Street signs. Buildings. I've had it where a sign gets removed and I start missing turns all the time. I've had trees get cut down that cause me to miss turns all the time that I never missed because the automatic pilot was using that visual cue and it's gone and it was waiting for the trigger to tell my conscious mind, hey, conscious mind, you need to take over because we're about to turn up here. All right. Triggers also will help your new automatic pilot fire as you get new triggers that you install. Like from some people, the only reason they brush their teeth is they see their toothbrush. For some people, the only reason they go on a walk is because they have their walking shoes by the door. For some people, the only reason they track their food is because the tracking app is on the home screen giving them a visual cue, right? The visual cues is what tells your conscious brain, hey, it's your turn. It's a baked in automatic spot where the autopilot will turn off. Your automatic pilot also will do its own thing, responding to the environment. So you can design the environment in a way that alters how your automatic pilot works. You can even break your automatic pilot by breaking the environmental triggers that it uses. If you can master those triggers, you will master your weight. And these 5 steps that I just talked about here briefly, recondition your automatic mind when you do them all in tandem. Now, again, the workshop, we broke this out into a couple of hours. And when I was preparing for this workshop, I left out triple the amount of content. Like I'm not even scratching the surface of what I'm going to be teaching this year about this stuff, about the concepts of quitting. But let's talk about the actual true hard part of all this, of changing your automatic pilot. Your automatic pilot, sometimes people call intuition. Because you use your automatic pilot for all sorts of things. And for a little while, when you're first changing, you cannot blindly trust your own intuition. Because, as I said, your intuition is operating off of your old automatic pilot. And if you blindly follow your intuition, you're going to produce the same results. If you always think the thoughts you've always thought, you'll get the results you've always had. And this, for why many people, is why intuitive eating can fail early. that have a long history of obesity. Now, a lot of people, they're like, no, that works fine, Chris, because we take away dieting when we teach intuitive eating. All right, that's one approach you can take. Yes, you can take the approach of doing intuitive eating that fully strips away dieting. You can do that. But you have to wait to start losing weight until you've got all that figured out. I worked up an approach where you do both, where we layer in some intuitive stuff, but we also, let's get our ass moving on losing some weight, right? In a way that works. But I digress. Let's get back to what I was saying. For a lot of people, this intuitive eating fails because of the history of yo-yo dieting. They end up making choices that just find them right back where they were before. On that binge restrict cycle, right? I binge because I was feeling restricted. And then when I binge, I'm feeling so bad. So I restrict more, which only makes me want to binge more. And so ultimately that makes me binge. And so then I'm so upset that I binged. And so I go ahead and restrict again. And you just get stuck in this loop. And you keep thinking the restriction is what you should do. But that's just your intuition telling you should do that. And it's your intuition that keeps sending you on this stupid loop. And that instinct, that intuition that you have was trained in the past in a different environment with different beliefs, with different coping strategies, with different circumstances. It might have actually made sense once upon a time. It might have made sense. Like this conditioning you have might be just fine for a certain time in your past, but it may not be fine anymore. And you may have never then sought to actively override it. So in the beginning of a transition, you need to test your intuition with data. Take the old KGB approach, trust but verify. Or I like this other saying, in God we trust, all others must bring data. Make yourself bring data. You can let your intuition make choices, but then you need to track it and document it and learn and see and calibrate your intuition. Over time, you will recalibrate it to where you're able to stay thin. And you will, the next thing you know, you'll start thinking you're a naturally thin person because you became one. Because a naturally thin person, it is also affected by their mind. Yes, biology has some role, but the mind plays a massive, massive role in it. So early on, you got to do often the opposite of what feels natural, and that feels unnatural. It feels weird. Like you naturally want to lose weight fast, so you're going to lose weight slow. That feels unnatural. That feels wrong. It feels like you're not doing it right. You're naturally wanting to look for foods to ban, and now you're not going to ban anything, and your brain's like, well, that's not going to work. It's because your automatic pilot is conditioned for one thing. When you're going to get on the scale and you're going to choose to not react to it at all, and your brain's like, no, I'm supposed to react to this. That number didn't go down, and you're not going to react to it, and that's going to feel wrong. But it's not going to feel wrong because it's wrong. It's going to feel wrong because it's new. I think a lot of times we say something feels wrong, but what we actually mean is it feels foreign. And that creates a destabilization effect, which is entirely normal in the beginning. And this is when a lot of people quit. But that's actually the very, very beginnings of identity shift beginning to occur. Which brings us back to quitting. Most people, the problem with quitting is most people never actually defined when they were supposed to quit. They set off on a journey never thinking about it. And so some people are going to quit when they're overwhelmed. Some people are going to say you never quit, but that's not actually true. Weight loss is a project that has an end. Yes, you never quit managing your weight, but you're supposed to quit the losing weight part of this. That part is supposed to have an I'm done, right? Maintenance isn't quitting. Maintenance is intentional. It's something you do as you go, and we layer that in. But like quitting in the bad way is walking away from the journey before the goal of losing all the weight is reached. A maintenance break that leads to weight gain is not a break. That's quitting. Right? Quitting isn't falling down. Falling down isn't quitting. Quitting is staying down once you've fallen down. So when do you stop losing weight? Well, you stop losing weight when you reach the body you've decided you are becoming. The one is at the end. And what's interesting about this is most people underestimate what's actually possible for their body. I mean, I had a client swear, never get below 210, 6'2", muscular. Would look too thin, he'd say. He's now at like 180 now. And, now looking back, like, can't imagine wanting to be back at that weight. Like I'm telling you, once the automatic pilot changes, the new identity just feels natural. That's the real transformation we're going for here. Not a number on a scale, but a shift in who you are on the subconscious. That's what I teach for weight loss. Now, near the end of the journey, something changes. I'm talking once you're getting near the end of the weight loss stage. In the final stages where there's no more learning about weight loss, it's only doing. You've already learned everything you need to know. You've actually done most of the unconscious reconditioning that needed to be done. You're just waiting for the body to catch up. But what's interesting is everything you've learned comes together all at once. You do the tracking, the movement, the boundaries, self-regulation for emotions, and you're trying to fight these thoughts of settling. And this phase there at the end is really challenging. The end of the weight loss journey is difficult because you work 3 times as hard for half the results. And I'm telling you, that temptation to settle is super strong. Because you already look good. Everybody tells you. So many people telling you, I think you've lost enough weight. No one will criticize you for stopping early. I've discovered. But the thing is, you got to keep going because you want it, not because you need permission from somebody else. You decide when this journey is done. You decide when you're going to be the one to quit. You decide. And when you decide and you no longer feel pressure from others to quit when they say so, that's when you know you're no longer trying to become somebody for them. You're trying to become who you want to be for you. So why do people quit? People quit because they never recondition the autopilot. They rely on conscious effort. They get exhausted. The call to quit arises, and they answer it by saying, okay, by returning to the familiar old. The solution here is not more willpower. It's not more shame, and it is definitely not punishing yourself more. The solution is intentionally reconditioning your identity through using repetition, embodying the learning process through experiential learning, surrounding yourself with a supportive community, reflecting on what you're learning, externalizing it, altering your environment, and most importantly of all, being patient. Because time is not your enemy. Time is your ally. It is a required component. Time. This journey is not going to be a straight line, yo. It ain't going to be straight at all. It's going to be line upon line, step upon step, bit by bit. Failing is a part of the path. Getting back up is also a part of the path. And it's the getting back up that turns the failure into a good thing. Here's something I know about you. You're not broken in an unfixable way. You're probably not even broken at all. You're not weak. You're not. You're just simply running off of old conditioning. And it's hard to change old conditioning. But old conditioning can be changed. And you can do hard things. And when it does change, it'll be quiet. It'll be slow. But one day, though, you'll look back and you'll realize, I think different. I'm acting different. I'm living different. I call these the who am I moments. You just do something that seems so wildly out of character and you did it effortlessly without even thinking. You're like, who am I? I just did that? And I can't tell you when it's going to happen. Nobody can. It's just going to happen one day. It's just going to happen. It's such a neat moment. But, that brings us to the real question here behind all this. If the problem is not a lack of information, and if the problem is not laziness, and if the problem isn't willpower, if the problem is that your automatic pilot was conditioned long ago, a while ago, that you can't recondition it alone, that you need repetition, embodiment, reflection, support, environment. All right, so where do you get all that? Like how do you learn to do all these things? Because, most weight loss programs, when you go to look at it, you're going to see they're trying to solve the wrong problems. Most of these things are trying to give you meal plans, rules, timelines, motivational quotes, maybe a workout calendar to stick to. One live meeting a month that you probably can't make just to get hyped up, but then nothing actually to go work on. And yeah, you feel hopeful for a moment, but, life shows up, right? Stress life. Emotions show up with the stress, right? Then the old habits start creeping in. That self-doubt shows back up. That quiet voice saying this will probably end the way every other attempt has. What do you do when all that shows up? Most people don't fail because they lack knowledge. Most people quit because they feel alone on the journey, in the struggle. And that's the problem that I created the Guild of Champions to solve. The Guild isn't a diet. It's not a short-term challenge. It definitely is not a quick fix program. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. It's a community of people on the journey of becoming thin at an identity level. People who are done fighting their weight only with conscious effort when they realize I can get my automatic pilot to help. It's a community of people who understand that the real battle is not about carbs. It's about the emotional stuff, the psychology, the deeply human elements of all this, like emotional eating and all the sources and causes that drive that. When a person enters the Guild, you're not treated like a project to be fixed. We already know you're the hero of your own transformation. I already know that. My role here is to be your guide, to help you see the patterns that have kept you stuck for all the years. I'm going to give you frameworks to understand your mind, your behaviors, your own relationship with food, with emotional eating, with exercise. But the becoming bit, that happens inside of you. And you'll feel supported because you'll be walking the same road and you look to your right and your left and you'll see other people just like you. The community truly is the heartbeat of this. It truly is. I have heard so many people talk about how the community is what has kept them going. When you're surrounded by people who understand exactly what it feels like to want to change and they fear failure at the same time, the wins are actually going to start getting celebrated. Think of it. When you experience a setback and your natural inclination is to shame yourself, you need to be surrounded by a community where setbacks are normalized and we replace shame with curiosity. So that when you're wanting to shame yourself for a setback, the whole community is reminding you, oh no, you're seeing it all wrong. There's a better way. And you get the new idea, the new belief that you can override on top of the other one. When your mind is telling you need to isolate, we help remind you, no, you need connection. It is the community that can change everything. Now, inside the Guild, you learn how to manage emotional eating, not resist emotional eating. We learn how to actually get to the root cause of it, make it go away as best as we can. You're going to learn how to recognize self-sabotage before it happens. You're going to learn how to build habits that feel natural. They don't feel forced. You don't have to have a checklist. You're going to learn how to actually change your habits. You're going to learn how to keep going and taking care of your body without motivation. I'm going to teach you how to shift your belief systems in the right order, by the way. This way your actions will start to match the person you're trying to become, that thin, healthy, happy, in shape person. There's going to be live lessons. There's going to be guided experiences. We even do in real life shared challenges, both virtually and literally in the same city. But more than anything, you're going to be putting yourself in an environment that's intentionally designed to recondition your autopilot. Most people don't need more information. They need the right environment so that the information can become something. Action. Many of us have heard that knowledge is power. No, knowledge is potential power, and it is the action that unlocks that power. But many of us aren't in the right environment, surrounded by the right community for us to unlock that action. The Guild is that environment and community. And so when I approach weight loss, it is not about food. It is a more philosophical approach. We're going to look at identity. We're going to talk about self-trust. We're going to talk about emotional maturity. I'm going to teach you how to sit with discomfort, how to become the version of yourself who naturally lives in a different way. Now, if you've enjoyed the podcast and you found it to be helpful and you really want to take your weight loss journey to the next level, the Guild of Champions is built for you, if that is you. Look, it's not going to make you perfect in it. It's not going to make the journey easy. It's not. But it'll make sure you're never walking it alone. It'll make sure you're ready for that next step so that you can prepare. and it'll make sure that you can get all the support that you need throughout the entire part of the journey. And most importantly of all, will actually help you make it. I don't much care how long it takes you to get to the end. I just want to see you actually do it. I want to see you actually get to thin and then do 2 years of intentional maintenance and then turn around and fire me. Say, Chris, you did a great job. You're fired. I hope to never see you again for this. And that would just make me so happy. That'd make me so happy to have you fire me like that. Please do. So I'll be waiting for you on the inside. And if you're curious about the Guild, you can join it now. The doors are open now. And you can join it by going to imnotquitting.com. If you're ready to commit to not quitting until the journey is done, the Guild is for you. You will join a community full of other people who have committed to seeing this thing through to the end. All right? Don't now. If you think you're going to join this and cancel it in 2 months and learn what you need to learn, you are not. All right? People come here and they stay for a while because I'm going to help you for where you're at and get you into the next stage, into the next stage, into the next stage. And you can come join this community or learn more about it by going to imnotquitting.com. That's imnotquitting.com. Thanks so much for giving me your time today. I really want you to think about everything I talked about today about this quitting business. I really want you to think about this automatic conditioning. And today, just today, I want you to be on the lookout. In any area of your life, where is your automatic pilot taking over? See if you can see it happening in real time. I'll see you next week on the Becoming Thin podcast.